few figures loom as large in Danish history as Harald Bluetooth. His reign, spanning the latter half of the 10th century, marked a pivotal era for Denmark. He inherited a kingdom fragmented and vulnerable, a land caught between the old ways and the rise of new powers. Yet through cunning statecraft and military prowess, Harald transformed Denmark. He forged a unified kingdom, one that would stand as a bulwark against external threats. His embrace of Christianity was no less transformative, ushering in a new era of faith and culture. Harald's legacy is etched not just in chronicles and sagas, but in the very fabric of Denmark, a testament to his enduring impact on the nation's identity. Harald's story is not merely one of conquest and conversion. It's a tale of ambition and adaptation, of a ruler navigating the complex currents of his time. He was a pragmatist who understood the need for both strength and diplomacy, a visionary who recognized the transformative power of faith. His reign represents a turning point in Danish history, a bridge between the Viking Age and the emergence of a Christian kingdom. The exact year of Harald Bluetooth's birth remains shrouded in the mists of time, much like many details of the early Viking era. Historians estimate he was born around 935 AD, likely within the borders of what we now know as Denmark, a land of rugged beauty and fierce warriors. His father was Gorm the Old, a fierce Viking chieftain credited with unifying much of Jutland. Gorm's leadership was marked by his relentless pursuit of power and his ability to forge strong alliances. His mother was Danabod, a figure shrouded in legend, often depicted as a powerful and wise queen. Thyra's influence on Harald was profound, instilling in him a sense of duty and the importance of wisdom in leadership. While details of Harald's childhood are scarce, we can surmise he received an upbringing typical of Viking nobility. This would have included rigorous physical training and a deep immersion in the cultural traditions of his people. He would have been trained in warfare, honing his skills with the sword and axe, learning the art of strategy and leadership. These skills were essential for any Viking leader, as they were constantly engaged in battles and raids. Beyond martial pursuits, Harald would have been immersed in the rich oral traditions of his people, learning the sagas and myths that shaped their worldview. These stories were more than just entertainment. They were a means of preserving history and imparting moral lessons. He would have witnessed the intricate workings of power, observing his father's rule and the delicate balance of alliances and rivalries that characterized Viking society. This early exposure to the political landscape would have been crucial in shaping his understanding of leadership. Growing up in a time of both internal strife and external pressure, Harald likely developed a keen understanding of the challenges and opportunities facing his people. The Viking world was one of constant change, with threats from neighboring tribes and distant lands. This early exposure to the complexities of power and diplomacy would prove invaluable as he ascended to leadership. Harald's ability to navigate these challenges would become a defining feature of his reign, allowing him to leave a lasting legacy in Viking history. The Denmark Harald was born into was a land in flux, a place where the old ways of the Vikings were beginning to clash with the emerging influences of Christianity and centralized governance. While his father, Gorm the Old, had made significant strides in unifying the fractious Viking chiefdoms of Jutland, his efforts were just the beginning of a long and arduous process. Denmark was far from a cohesive kingdom. Internal rivalries simmered and external threats loomed large. The land was a patchwork of competing interests, with local chieftains often at odds with one another. The Holy Roman Empire, under the ambitious Otto I, was expanding its influence northward, casting a wary eye on the pagan lands across its borders. This expansion posed a significant threat to the autonomy of the Danish territories. Meanwhile, the nascent kingdoms of Norway and Sweden presented their own challenges, vying for control of trade routes and influence in the region. These emerging powers were eager to expand their own territories and influence, often at Denmark's expense. It's unclear precisely when Harald assumed a prominent role in his father's court. Some sources suggest he may have co-ruled with Gorm for a time, gaining valuable experience in governance and warfare. This period of co-rule would have provided Harald with a unique opportunity to learn the intricacies of leadership and statecraft. What is certain is that Harald inherited a kingdom brimming with both potential and peril. The vast lands he now controlled were rich in resources, but also fraught with danger from both within and without. His early years on the throne would be marked by challenges, forcing him to prove his mettle as a leader. He faced numerous battles and skirmishes, each one a test of his ability to lead and inspire his people. He would need to consolidate his power, quell internal dissent, and secure Denmark's borders against a host of ambitious neighbours. This required not only military might, but also diplomatic skill and strategic foresight. These early trials would forge Harald into the ruler he would become, one remembered for his strength, cunning, and unwavering ambition for his kingdom. His ability to navigate the complex political landscape of the time, while also addressing the immediate threats to his rule, would define his legacy as one of Denmark's most formidable kings. Upon Gorm's death, Harald inherited the mantle of leadership, but his claim to the throne was far from secure. The transition of power was fraught with uncertainty and potential threats from both within and outside the kingdom. Internal rivals, sensing weakness in the newly crowned king, rose in open rebellion, challenging his authority. These rivals were not just ordinary warriors, but influential chieftains who had their own ambitions and saw Harald's ascension as an opportunity to advance their own power. To the south, the Holy Roman Emperor Otto I, eager to expand his dominion and subdue the pagan Danes, saw an opportunity to exploit the instability. Otto's ambitions were not merely territorial. He sought to impose his religious and cultural influence over the Viking lands, seeing the internal strife as a perfect moment to strike. Harald's early reign was a delicate balancing act, demanding both military strength to quell rebellions and diplomatic finesse to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that define the age. He had to be constantly vigilant, as any sign of weakness could lead to further uprisings or external invasions. One of Harald's most pressing challenges came from within his own family. The internal family dynamics were complicated, with various members having their own claims and ambitions, making the situation even more precarious. His brother, Knut Danast, coveted the throne and launched a bid for power, plunging Denmark into a bloody civil war. This fraternal conflict was not just a personal vendetta, but a significant political struggle that threatened to tear the kingdom apart. The conflict tested Harald's resolve and military acumen. He had to prove himself not only as a leader, but also as a warrior, capable of defending his claim against formidable opponents. He rallied loyal factions to his cause, employing a combination of force and strategic alliances to outmaneuver his adversaries. These alliances were crucial, as they provided the necessary support and resources to sustain his campaign against his brother and other rivals. After years of struggle, Harald emerged victorious, vanquishing his brother and consolidating his hold on the throne. This victory was not just a personal triumph, but a significant moment in the history of Denmark, as it established Harald's authority and stabilized the kingdom. The struggle against internal strife, however, did not blind Harald to the threat posed by the ambitious Otto I. He understood that external threats were just as dangerous as internal ones and required careful planning and strategy. Recognizing the might of the Holy Roman Empire, Harald opted for a pragmatic approach, securing peace through strategic concessions. This decision was not made lightly, as it involved significant compromises that had long-term implications for his reign. He agreed to halt Viking raids into Saxon territory, a move that appeased Otto while allowing Harald to focus on consolidating his power within Denmark. This agreement was a strategic masterstroke as it neutralized a major external threat and bought Harald valuable time to strengthen his position. This early display of pragmatism demonstrated Harald's understanding of the limits of power and his willingness to make difficult choices for the greater good of his kingdom. His ability to balance force with diplomacy was a key factor in his success as a ruler. It was a trait that would serve him well throughout his reign. Harald's early challenges and power struggles were a testament to his resilience and strategic acumen, laying the foundation for a reign that would be remembered for its strength and stability.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, consider liking and subscribing.